For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website betchriscanada.net.
You're listening to the Hockey Betting Podcast presented by betchriscanada.net. This is the hockey betting preview for Thursday, January 20th, 2020. And now, live from Las Vegas, the host of the Hockey Betting Podcast, Brian Blessing.
All right, kids, here we go. The first edition in 2020 of the Hockey Betting Podcast. It's a milestone, Cam. Brian Blessing, Cam Stewart. Let's have at it. It's just another year. 2020.
It is, buddy. 2020. I know. It's like a decade. And got to hand it to you, Brian. Like the shows before, we talk about it. Dogs in New Jersey, they got it done against Boston. It's actually funny. The dogs are coming in when we're betting. It's these totals are just falling just a little bit short right now. And I got to believe these books are going to be posting none of these 6.5s as 6.5s, but 6 and 5.5s. I see some of these games going down because all these people blindly betting overs. It's not happening anymore. Even against teams that are over teams, they're buckling down. And I'm going to be playing more sides and more totals. I can tell you that. Falling just a bit short, but having some nice dogs help things out on New Year's.
No, in the last podcast, we sat there and said Tortorella went bonkers and said, well, did they get jobbed, or are they going to rally around their coach who stuck up for them? And they did. 4-1. I know it was Detroit, but on the puck line, it's a plus price.
It sure is. Merzlikins too, right? We got Eunice Korpisalo is going to be out 4 to 6. So Merzlikins, it's an interesting, from DFS and betting and everything. He looked really, really good in that game. Hopefully he could keep it up because that's a big loss. Korpisalo was really hot before he went down, but as we talked about it, the books aren't respecting Columbus. They're actually a good hockey team. You don't get a good price on them because nobody bets them. They're not a popular team, not an original six team. They're not like Vegas, who people know about, who's wicked. Toronto, people bet on them. Montreal, they're just one of those teams that are in the league, and they're better than people think they are.
Tonight, well, first of all, you got San Jose at Pittsburgh. Do you believe how atrocious San Jose is?
Honestly, Brian, I had San Jose in a parlay with the Devils, to plus money, wicked dog picks, and I'm sitting there going, you can't go into Detroit and win. The San Jose Sharks are a train wreck. SJ Sharky, their mascot, he's crying. He's got no teeth anymore. He's more like a guppy. He's not a shark. These teams, you're right. I'm pissed. I can't believe how bad the San Jose Sharks are playing. They got veterans, but they got good young players. There's no excuse for these performances. They're a dog's breakfast, as you like to say, and you got to stay away from these guys or fade them as much as you can. They're awful.
Hey, tonight, Edmonton's at Buffalo. Buffalo's 30, total 6. McDavid and Eichel, I think they'll put on a show.
I think so, too. I like goals in that game, and I think I like Buffalo, too. Brian, I got to tell you, though, heartbreaking. They were beating Tampa Bay, everything we talked about, showing up in that game, dangerous team at home. They piss away a 3-goal lead and lose, and not just by 1 for people who like to play the plus 1.5. They lose by 2. Very, very frustrating. It's not all Allmark's fault, but they're not giving him any help. But tonight, I could see the Buffalo Sabres. Edmonton's a weird team. Yeah, I believe they'll put on a show, too. And if Eichel brings his A game, I probably lean Buffalo. Buffalo and the over.
Tampa Bay buddies at Montreal laying 45, total 6.5 to the over. Tampa Bay is an odd team, but I'll tell you, Montreal's a mash unit. I mean, how many top 9 forwards have they lost?
It's been a shame, right? And people blame Carey Price in the defense. It's been the forwards. They can't win with all these guys out, and they're key players too. I'm with you. Tampa Bay, if they show up in this game, it's probably worth putting in some parlays. I want to back Montreal, but I just can't in this spot. I have a lean to the Lightning. I haven't pushed the button yet, but I think at that price, anything under 55 cents, I think, would be worth betting on the Lightning.
All right, I'll tell you a game I think is going to be a sneaky, fun game to watch tonight. And that's Florida and Ottawa. I like this game to go over 6.5. I think we'll get goals. Ottawa competes.
Yeah, we talk about these over-unders, Brian. I'm not going to be betting on overs on all these games, but the one thing Florida can usually score. They didn't show up the last game against Columbus because Columbus was fired up, but Ottawa scores goals too. That's the thing that people don't understand. They might not be the best hockey team in the league, but at home, they usually get you three goals, 4 goals, and that should be enough to to hit the over. You're right. Florida, after that performance, is going to be very bitter. If they have any pride, they go into Ottawa and we see like a 6-5, 5-4 type of game. I do agree with that over. I'm just getting sick of these 6.5s, and when I get 6 goals in the game, losing by that hook. It's frustrating, but I think Florida shows up tonight.
We'd like to thank BetChrisCanada.net for their support of the Hockey Betting Podcast. I'm Brian Blessing in sunny Las Vegas.
And I'm Cam Stewart in cold Toronto, Canada.
If you love hockey and you're in Canada, and Cam is, by the All-Star break, even if you can't stop thinking about taking a vacation someplace sunny and warm, but you don't want to miss out on any of the hockey action, look for a BetChris near your next holiday destination.
BetChris is one of the leading sports books in the Western Hemisphere, with hundreds of sports betting locations throughout the Caribbean and Latin America.
Watch the game at a BetChris location. Food and drink specials and VIP lounges are available at many BetChris locations. Use the promo code PODCAST when you open your BetChris account.
Place some bets on your game and collect your cash at the window when the game is over.
BetChris offers single bets, parlay bets, teasers, and more on pregame and live odds for hockey and all your favorite Canadian and American sports leagues. And BetChris offers a variety of team and player props, including futures.
BetChris offers the best value odds on Canadian and international sports. Use the promo code PODCAST when you open up your account at a BetChris location. Deposit $750 or more and get up to a 40% reduced commission on your sports bets, up to -106 on single bets and parlay bets. That's the best juice in the biz.
So, if you're planning a trip to exotic locations from the Caribbean and Mexico to Peru and almost everywhere in between, the odds are very good. There's a BetChris Sportsbook where you're going on holiday. For more information about visiting a BetChris location while you're on holiday, or to listen to or subscribe to the Hockey Betting Podcast, visit BetChrisCanada.net. That's BetChrisCanada.net. Cam, you're Canadian. When you leave Canada and you're heading south, use the promo code PODCAST. Hey, we got the Get Out game. Phillies at Vegas. The Vegas is laying $1.70. The total here is 6. I'll tell you, Phillies actually played well here before, and they get out. There's a lot of Flyer fans come to these games in Vegas.
They have fans?
Yeah.
That team's been horrible. Like, watching that team on this West Coast trip has been, like, atrocious. The Flyers are horrible, but hey, yeah, you say some teams play some teams tough. Like, they're just a weird hockey team. And it's like, you know, you look at the record, it's not even bad. Like 22, 13, and 5. They seem worse to me than that. But the Vegas has been flying. Yes, it does kind of smell like a letdown spot. So I'd be very careful. And the line's telling you something. I would have probably made Vegas $2. It's 165, 170. What does that tell me? The Flyers might be live.
What do you make of Toronto, 45 on the road at Winnipeg?
I kind of like Winnipeg in this spot. To be honest with you, Toronto's been good. I was on them the night against Minnesota. I did the Toronto 2 dance, took them -1/4 and the -1.5. Brian Blessing style to plus money. It's a little bit different with Winnipeg. Winnipeg has some major injuries. Toronto's playing tough. It's also another thing, Brian. You talk about Eichel and McDavid. It's also Laine and Matthews, right? This is another 1-2 matchup here of guys that were drafted very high in the NHL, and they like to put on a show for each other. I got to believe the Jets show some pride. They haven't been playing great hockey lately. If the Leafs show up, it'll be an over, but I can't lay 45 cents with the Leafs after the win in Minnesota. Yeah, it's funny. We're going back. It's New Year's, and I'm still eating salami. You told me to get on tofu, but these grand salamis, I'm going to go see my butcher. I warned at the top of the show, you can't keep on getting more salami, Cam. Your cholesterol is getting higher, but all these games, we're talking a hell of a lot of overs, and the matchups kind of feel that way tonight, Brian. Like Toronto and Winnipeg, that could be a boat race too.
Well, how about Washington and Carolina?
Yeah, you're like this. The Grand Salami over tonight. Yeah, I know.
That's a Friday night game. Washington, Carolina. There's just something about Carolina, the way they're going right now. And Washington loves playing up tempo. The one that's interesting, I probably wouldn't do it, but would you consider the Red Wings as a balloon dog in a letdown spot for Dallas off the Winter Classic?
Yes, I would. The Red Wings are playing better hockey. I'm not sure if it's going to make the card, but I'm going to give it a long, hard look. Everyone it's weird. Look what they did. They beat San Jose. Like, they're not giving up. You can say what you want about the Red Wings, but they're competing. And I respect teams that play. Dallas, big comeback, Brian. Nashville was up 2-0. Bang, 4 unanswered. I would consider the Red Wings as a dog, but I have another one for you. I know this is a dangerous thing to do, but I might bet the Devils again. I talked about this team before. It took a while with the new coach. They were great to me against Boston. They were plus 185. That was a huge price. They went in a shootout, and the Islanders played really, really well the last couple of games. Don't sleep on the Devils. Like laying 210, 220 with the Islanders, that's a little bit rich for my blood. Don't be surprised. The Devils might be a super dog tonight, too, at $1.85.
They've won 3 of 4.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're not this joke team anymore. If you're looking for a price, I think New Jersey, like when I look up and down this card, if you're looking for a big dog that can come through, I have to believe that's the one. I would say the Devils probably have the best chance of pulling it off at almost a $2 dog price against the Islanders.
How about the Saturday menu, Cam? Looking at it here, nothing really jumps out, honestly, and let's start hashing it out a little bit.
Buffalo and Florida, that game's probably going to be pretty interesting when they get together.
At some point, they got to play Hutton. They can't just keep riding this kid.
Well, if they're playing Hutton, I have to bet the over. Yeah, like Hutton's awful. We've talked about it before. I want to really cheer for the guy, but he doesn't give you a reason to cheer for him when he's letting in 6 goals and breaking your heart. Winnipeg and Minnesota, that's a little bit of a rivalry game. Yeah, you're right. It's tough. St. Louis and Vegas at 4 o'clock. Interesting, too, Brian. A lot of matinee games. We got some 1 o'clock, some 2s, some 4s. Should be interesting. Let me see. I'm going to try to find you something here that I like. What about this? Arizona, Philadelphia, Arizona seems is Arizona going to get their act together, Brian? Like, they're an interesting team. The injuries, the goaltending, the Kemper injury really hurt these guys, but I still like them as a team. But, man, they're finding ways to lose. Probably Nashville, maybe against the Kings. Something I'm looking at. You're right, but it's a hard card. It's a hard card on Saturday night, man. Real hard.
Would you? Well, I mean, Arizona with the goalie situation, they're giving up 4 a game now.
They are now, yeah. So they've become an over team without Kemper. They're going to run Ranta into the ground. And they're just. I like Taylor Hall, but it's just like, after the first couple of games, it's just he's kind of been invisible. It's like, dude, like this team gave a lot up for you. They think they're taking the next step. Very, very weird team, Arizona. And Columbus playing San Jose. If San Jose finds a win, Brian, on like Thursday night, if they get something going down, I'll probably come back hard with Columbus. I don't believe in the Sharks putting anything together.
All right, let me give you a little opportunity here. Florida on Sunday at Pittsburgh. And here's what's going on. The Sabres and Panthers were supposed to play Saturday night. The Bills are playing at 7 o'clock in the playoffs. The Sabres went to the Panthers, and the Panthers were more than willing to do it. They moved the game to a day game. So now it's a 1 o'clock Eastern start on Saturday. So Florida will basically be in Pittsburgh by the time Pittsburgh is leaving Montreal on Friday night. So the earlier start time is, I think, a big edge on a back-to-back days for Florida.
Yeah, and Florida, they're going to have to put something together, Brian. Like we talk about this team, like Columbus beat them in. They have the talent to be a contender, and they just don't seem to play up to it. How's the goaltending going to be, too? Bobrovsky, Dredger. Like these guys, actually, Dredger's, I think, been a lot better. He's 3-1 as a starter in comparison to Bobrovsky. And you got to think Pittsburgh injuries are going to catch up with them. I agree. Now that you're missing Jake Guentzel, like that guy's one of the best players in the National Hockey League. Like that's a huge loss for the Pittsburgh.
How does Pittsburgh do this?
I'm. You know what? Let's give them credit. I think Sullivan's one of the best coaches in the league, if not the. They had no Crosby, Guentzel. These are 2 of the best players in the National Hockey League, and you're not just winning, you're beating down teams. Let's give Pittsburgh's brass, coaching staff, like full marks, and the players. These guys are really showing up. They never quit. When they blow leads, they come back and win. They're very I don't even know what to say, Brian. I thought this team was like going to fold their tents. It's been the opposite. But now without Guentzel, that's just a huge loss. I don't know if they can maintain it, but they proved me wrong before.
But I think you might get plus 30, plus 40 on Florida.
Yeah, I agree. If Florida's even plus like anything over 20, I'll probably smash the Panthers that day for sure.
All right, buddy. We're soldiering on. Here's what's going to happen now, and we'll start diving in this, and you alluded to it. It's that time of year with the calendar. The games slowly but surely, stylistically, are going to change.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a shame. The matchups that we have, they lean over. But what's happening right now is these 6.5s, they're getting to 5, and if they're getting to 5 and 6, they're not cashing. So I got to be very careful with the totals that I play. You know me, Brian. I'm more of a sides type of guy on the menu. So I'm gonna be dipping into the sides. You know, a little bit of corn, a little bit of mashed potatoes and gravy. That's what I like. Sides. And and we're gonna look for these dogs. And you brought up a great point. Situational plays like the Florida Panthers. Look at the schedule. That's a great point that you brought up about the Buffalo Bills. Florida's sitting there. Pittsburgh's got injuries. These are the games we have to find these edges in and smash because it's hard, man. The National Hockey League, like I'm talking to a lot of not just people who gamble, but professional gamblers who do this stuff for a living and, you know, live on golf courses and stuff. Hockey's been up and down and tough for them. It's becoming very difficult. What teams are showing up, man? It's been a dog's breakfast, as you say, but we're going to find angles. We're going to find situations to get it done, buddy.
All right, Pally. I apologize, kid.
I know. I love you.
I'm playing hurt.
You're like my boy Morency. I tell a guy, I go, when you poke him, blood doesn't come out. It's motor oil. He's basically a machine. And you and him work like, I don't even know how you do it, Brian. You're hacking the Marlboros. You're doing this show, that show, college bowl show, Buffalo radio show. Like, buddy, you need to take a break. Pop in literally a couple of have a shot of brandy, and you know what? You got to go for a nap for a while. Just put that couple pillows over your head, squish, and turn off your phone. You need to disconnect.
I was Wile E. Coyote. I mean, the Acme Anvil came out of the sky, and I literally slept all New Year's Day. And woke up this morning, and if anything, it got worse. But I try to match your energy today, kiddo. I got no shot.
No, it's okay, buddy. I'll tell you something, too. Like, just looking at the schedule for Thursday, Flyers might be a play as a dog, as you talk about. Be very careful if you like Vegas tonight. That line's telling me something. And you know what, Brian? I am going to do it. I at this price, if Blackwood starts, he's expected by the time of taping, we have to take the New Jersey Devils at plus 185 or more. I love the Islanders. They're a good team. Barry Trotz, we talk about it, but that team should not be laying over $2 against a Devils team that's playing better hockey. So those are two pooches that are on my radar.
Rough. Down boy. Happy New Year, Cammy. We'll be back.
I hope you feel better, buddy. I know we work all the time. You're going to get sick. This is the time of the year. Bowl season, every year something bad happens in bowl season. You get sick. It's part of life, buddy.
It is what it is, my friend. But we love doing this. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back with you early next week on the Hockey Betting Podcast.
You've been listening to the Hockey Betting Podcast, presented by BetChrisCanada.net.
For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website, BetChrisCanada.net.
The handicapping and sports odds information contained on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm the wagering regulations in your jurisdiction as they vary from state to state, province to province, and country to country. Using this information to contravene any law or statute is prohibited. The podcast is not associated with, nor is it endorsed by any professional or collegiate league, association, or team. This podcast does not target and is not intended for an audience under the age of 18. If you think that you have a gambling addiction, stop this podcast now and please seek help.
Gambling and betting on sports is a form of entertainment and should be about having a good time. But when done excessively, it may negatively affect other areas of a person's life, such as their physical and mental health, school or work performance, finances, and or interpersonal relationships. At BetChrisCanada.net and the Hockey Betting Podcast, we're concerned about the addiction that gambling may cause, and for this reason, we encourage everyone to practice responsible gambling, an approach to gambling that helps you ensure that it remains an enjoyable activity. Here are the main principles of responsible gambling. Don't think of gambling as a way to make money. Always gamble with money that you can afford to lose. Set limits and stick to them. Never chase losses. Don't gamble when you're depressed or upset, and create a healthy balance. Always be aware of how much time you spend gambling or thinking about gambling. And do not allow gambling to cause you to miss out on time with family and friends or time spent on other activities you enjoy. By following these guidelines, gambling can be a good time and great entertainment. If you feel at any time that your gambling is taking away from important areas of your life, is causing you stress or depression, or is leading to financial losses that are beyond your control, please reach out for help. Learn more at responsiblegambling.org.